channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make a two-piece corset. So the first thing you're going to do is to draw a line down the straight line to mark the beginning, and then the next thing you're going to do is to insert your shoulder measurement divided by 2, which I've marked here. Next thing is to come down here by 1 inch, mark it, and then insert your shoulder measure, your armhole divided by 2. For me that's 9. I marked it here. So now this is going to be my chest line. Your armhole divided by 2 is your chest line. If you don't know how to calculate your armhole, you can just do bust measurement, round your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you get, that will be the length you're going to mark here. Mark it across, and then the next line you're going to mark is put your tape back, mark from that point to your nipple, which is going to be your bust line. So this one is BL, your bust line. After that, the next line is going to be your under bust, from your shoulder to your under bust, which is going to be just from your shoulder to wherever the hook, that hook under your bra cup, that's where your under bust is. And then after that, you're going to mark from your shoulder to your waist. So that's what I've marked here. So now after that, I'm just going to go ahead and just draw like how you normally have your basic bodice of 3 inches neckline. Connect this and then use the cuff to finish it off. So guys, now we are going to go into the corset part. So I've explained all the lines that we have here. So the first thing you're going to do is to divide your bust measurement, your nipple to nipple measurement by 2. So once you divide it, mine is going to be 8. I added half an inch to it. So that's going to be 4.5. My nipple to nipple is 8. And then divided by 2 is 4, plus half an inch is 4.5. I'm going to mark that 4.5 here, and then I'm also going to mark it here, right? And then you can, this is your chest line. What you can do is just to make a line here, but don't make it too visible. I'm going to just use a dotted line to note it here, right? And then I'm going to then bring up, mark my I'm going to mark the same measurement, this nipple to nipple distance on this line too. And then after that, I'm going to connect all of them in a straight line. So once this is done, the next thing you're going to do is to take the measurement from your this line here, your bust line, and the measurement between your bust line and your under bust, whatever you have there. I have 4 inches, right? I'm just going to take it and mark that 4 inches all around. If you have a compass, just take whatever measurement you have there and draw it round like this. So I'm going to make a circle using that 4 inches, and this is going to be the point of my circle round. And guys, if you want it to push up a little bit on this your under bust line, you can come up here by half an inch, but I would like to think that you're wearing a push-up bra when you're taking this measurement, so that it will help lift your bust up. Because remember, your shoulder to your under bust is supposed to be right where that the curve of your under bust is, wherever you feel that is supposed to be where the under bust is, right? So now I'm just going to go ahead and mark my 4 inch circle. Like I said, just put your tape here, mark whatever inch you have from this point to this point, and then after that you're going to go up on this line. So now we are going to go up on this our bust line by about 1.5. If you want, you can stick to the chest line and use that as the top part of yours, but I'm going to go down and just use 1.5 above this line. And then I'm going to go in by half an inch in. If you're more on the smaller size, you can do 1.5, because this is basically the space that will be in between your bust. A smaller person will have a lot of space, so you can do 0.75 if you're a smaller person. But you know, a bigger bust person will not have a lot of space in between their bust. So that's why I'm using half an inch here, because this is a bigger bust. So once you've done that, the next thing you're going to do, I'm just going to try to bring down this half an inch line a little bit lower. Just mark it down a little bit, and then once I've done that, I'm just going to connect from this point now. Use my curve ruler, connect it to this point. Guys, just pay attention from here to here with a curve ruler. So you see, I've marked it, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to step out 1 inch away from this side, because this bust here is going to be the side of your bust is more fuller than the center, so you need to go 1 inch out here, and then come down from your armhole, come down from there like half an inch on that same line where you marked this, right? On that same line where you marked that 1 inch away, and then go out straight like this. Right, this is now your new armhole line, and then from this point now, I'm going to use my ruler again and connect it to this same point, just like I did from here. So I'm going to just connect that point together. So guys, now that I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to let me extend this my mark this my nipple to nipple distance. Let me bring it up a little bit. So now that you have done that, the next thing I have to do is just to go ahead and mark 1 inch away on this line. So you're going to go back in here, mark 1 inch out here, and then 1 inch. This is my center line, the nipple to nipple line that I marked here, this straight line. Now mark 1 inch away from it on both sides, right? And do the same thing on the waistline. Mark the same thing on the waistline. So I'm going to mark 1 inch on both sides, and then I'm going to connect the two together down here. Connect it all the way down like this, right? And then once I've done that, the next thing you're going to do is to connect from this half and this 1 inch here, blend it into this part. So I'm connecting this to this, but with a curve, right? I'm going to turn my ruler around and do the same thing. I'm connecting this point to this 1 inch again. So 2 more steps, guys, and our corset is almost done. So the next step now is to mark 1 inch away from this center line again. The same thing we did at the bottom here, 1 inch away from this center line. Now we are going to connect it again. This point here is going to this one here, right? I'm going to connect it like this. And then this point here is going to this same point where this one marks, right? So I'm going to connect the same thing again on this side. And then, guys, after you've made this point now, the next thing you're going to do is from this 1 inch that you stepped out here, this 1 inch from this line, I'm also going to connect it, just the same process that we did at the bottom, connect it to this center mark here. So I'm going to just move it this way and make that curve, like to give it like that. Turn my ruler around again and do the same thing on the other side. So guys, you see, our corset is basically done. This is my corset here. And all I have to do now is to just go ahead to the side here. Insert my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 42. Divided by 4 is 10.5. Mark that here. Add back these 2 inches I took away from here. And that is it here. And then I'm going to add like 1 inch of seam allowance, or you can do 1.5. It depends on you. I'm just going to do 1.5. After that, I'm going to do the same thing on my underbust divided my underbust divided by 4 is going to be about 9 inches. I'm going to add the same 2 inches from this part here. Put it back, right? And then I'm going to now add back that 1.5 of seam allowance. The same thing on my waist. Waist divided by 4 is about 8.5. Plus these 2 inches that we took away here, put it back here. And then plus that 1.5 again. And this is basically done. Guys, your corset is done. All you have to do is now connect these 3 lines together. And then I'm going to connect this one so you know where my seam allowances are. So this is basically it for my corset. So guys, this is it for the corset. So now I'm also going to go ahead and draft a back panel here. And guys, another thing I would like to say is if you don't want this top part here to go up a lot, you can just stop it at, instead of going up to this part here, you can stop somewhere here and then connect, like you can stop like 1 inch. You can come down here 1 inch and then just 1 inch on this same line too, and then curve it to this point. 1 inch on this same line too, and then curve it on this point. But I want it to get the maximum coverage. But if you want to have halfway cleavage on top or something like that, just come down like 1 inch away and then curve it. Back panel, all I did is just to draw the basic bodice pattern, just your basic normal basic bodice pattern, you see, and then added my zipper. But all I did is just to make sure I maintain that same 1.5 zipper allowance I used in front, because remember that is what we did here. So I added it back at the back. I used the same amount of zip. If I used 1 inch here, I would have used 1 inch here, and then this is it here. So you see, remember we came down half an inch at the front here for our new armhole. So that's why I tried to maintain also that half an inch here. So you see, I came down half an inch here. So basically the back of my top, you see this half an inch that we did down here, I'm just going to extend that line now and know that this is now my top here. So bring that same line here. And then, because remember the two sides are going to be meeting each other. One thing you don't want is for one to be shorter than the other. So since I came down in front by this half an inch, I also brought this one in front down by half an inch. So guys, now all we have to do, let me turn it around, is just to go ahead and cut out everything. This is I'm just going to start with the front panel. to name it. So I like to name mine this way so that I'm sure of what I'm doing. So you could have I could have named mine before cutting it out. So all you have to do is just to name this my center 1, and then outer part, which is number 2, and then this is going to be my center number 3, and then outer 4. Guys, some people just name theirs left right, but sometimes it gets confusing, so I like to just detail mine how I'll remember it. Center, outer, so I know these ones are to the side. So for the back panel, another thing you can do is, if you want, you can go ahead and just dart it how you normally put your dart, or if you want, you can just cut out the dart itself so that you are sure of what you have. But if you want, you don't have to cut it, you can just leave it the way it was. And then this is it here. So basically this is now my back panel, and then I have my zipper allowance here. And if I was making a basic top, all I have to do is just to extend this dart a little bit lower. But instead of doing that 1 inch that we did on both sides, I might come down and do 0.75 on both sides, coming down towards the length of just inside the length of the top you're working with. And then on that line of the length of the top, do 0.75 on both sides of your dart, and then connect it from maybe 2 inches below your waist to connect to the edge of that cloth, and that's how you make a basic. So that's basically it. But this one here, I'm using it for a top, like a half length of something. So all this is okay for me. I just have to reduce the bottom part here and just make it like half an inch for the lower line. That's my half an inch of sewing allowance, right? Not like what I have here, which is almost 1 inch. So that's basically it. When you go to sew it, you already have the side seamed for it, but when you go to trace it, you're going to trace it in with seam allowance here, seam allowance here, seam allowance in between, and then seam allowance on this side too. The same thing for the back. You're going to have it this way, and then you trace it out. So that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.